Also, like another thing that inspired it a lot was like that time period, going through that struggle of like who you are, who you're supposed to be, and finally coming out the other side like confident. It was a lot of fun making it for sure. Even though it started off out of frustration, it kind of turned into something really beautiful.
Welcome to the Spencer Whiteout podcast. Rated R.
Criminal charges, bro. Guess like we're avoiding the sharks. Call it leather fetish, dude.
No, great turbo neck guy.
I'll give you a kiss. You give me your number.
That checked out a ton, dude. Tell me you felt.
We're Americans. We're the ones that are descendants from the 1776 musket-bearing motherfuckers.
Welcome to the Spencer Whiteout podcast, where we collect experiences as badges, memories as treasures, and stories as wealth. In this episode, I interview Matthew Oliver, the ambient wave sad trap artist also known as Blythe. We talk all about his musical journey, new album Identity Crisis, a Catfish story, and we even tease a top secret collab, an unreleased, ultra rare, dare I say, legendary track. You've been warned. Dude, thank you so much for joining me. Stoked to chat.
Thanks for having me, dude. It's good to be here.
So we've been talking about doing this for probably a year now, and I've been following your work for a very long time. We're going to get into that. We're going to get into the new album and all that. First off, I got to talk about how we've bonded over our mutual love of great artists like Nothing Nowhere and our mutual disgust of Kamala Harris.
Yeah, that's a pretty good way to put it. Just kind of connecting on a little bit deeper level is cool. Just having some laughs here and there about just the state of everything right now.
You gotta love it.
Absolutely. Yeah, I guess I'm kind of curious, how long have you been into like the wave scene? Because it's not a super old genre. It's only been around since probably about 2017, 2018. But
yeah, definitely got into synthwave around 2015 when I heard Time Cop's music. That was kind of a rabbit hole. I was like, oh my gosh, this is awesome. Like, I love the 80s, you know? And so then finding Haven and some of those other artists that were doing this, you know, ambient wave, sad trap thing on SoundCloud. And I was just like really blown away by all that, you know, dude, you get it. I mean, we're both very romantic old souls, very nostalgic. And so it's like this music just pulls us in, you know, and once you hear it, there's no going back. It's just so good. And it's also so good for like writing sessions. I mean, I'm a filmmaker. I love writing to this kind of music because it's kind of lo-fi. It's pretty chill. It's pretty ambient. And so it's nice to have on in the background. I just feel like the wave genre hits like nothing else out there.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, he's crazy. It's kind of cool too. Like all these years later, he's slowed down a lot, but he still drops a song here and there. Like just little remixes of whatever pop song is relevant. He'll drop a Haven remix and it's the typical just rainbow, shiny, colorful Haven style. It's just really cool that he's still going.
He's so enigmatic too. I don't know if like how well you know him, but like we talked with him to get his music in my film Space Waves, and it was tough because it's like you can tell he's just, his mind is elsewhere, bro. And it's like he's very, like I said, enigmatic. He's a little hard to get a hold of. He seems like he's the guy that only creates music and puts it out when he's like in the mood or when he really feels it.
Yeah, there's a lot of guys like that. Even like in my own collective, I barely talk to them because I'll message them and it'll take them like 3 months to respond because they'll just be offline, and I'm like, I don't even have any idea what they're doing or like where they've been. But and I mean, like lately it's kind of sad, but like that's kind of how all of us have been. Like the core group has been pretty inactive lately. Like I know that obviously people like Willix and Revoices, like they're always dropping, you know, every month, but you know, like Odd Name, Desolate, Nctrn, like all those guys and me, like we've been pretty dormant lately. But I mean, obviously I've been working on the album for the past year, but it's just kind of sad to see that time. Like it's not really as alive anymore, but all that time that we spent together, like growing each other up and collabing and stuff was still definitely worth it. But yeah, I mean, that's how a lot of them are now, just very dormant.
Yeah, man. Well, new seasons on the horizon, new adventures. You never know when the next special thing's going to come about. So you just got to be ready and keep going.
Yeah, because I never would have expected all the shows that I got reached out for. So yeah. I kind of got into it by accident because I was born in 98. So I probably in the 8th grade, 7th grade when I found like Deadmau5 and Skrillex and all that like early 2010s EDM stuff. And then closer to 2013, 2014, when I got more into like SoundCloud and stuff, you find just kind of random artists uploading stuff just through the algorithm. And then I found like Misogi and Haven and Ginseng and then Bones, all that like Team Sesh SoundCloud stuff. And then I was just kind of all in from there.
Yeah, because I also remember Misogi doing a collab with Nothing Nowhere. And then I was like, whoa, this is really sick way back in the day. I really love his new song, Pink Noise. Do you know that one?
Oh, yeah. His newest album is just crazy. It was a perfect album, in my opinion, because I found Nothing Nowhere and Misogi separately at different times. I had an old friend that put me on Nothing Nowhere back when we were in high school, and I listened to him for a while. And then when they started collabing, it was just like crazy. Like these two unrelated artists that I found. It's just such a cool crossover kind of thing. Yeah, the new album's crazy, though.
I love the album cover, too, like with all the parodies of the different logos and stuff. I'm just like, this is awesome.
Well, and the visuals he did for that on the YouTube uploads, just like the visualizers, they have such a like 2000s VHS video game kind of aesthetic. It's just a very creative and colorful vibe.
Yeah, I love it. And Nothing Nowhere, man, he collaborates with anyone and everyone these days. It's really cool seeing how eclectic all his different styles are.
In his words, he bodies every genre.
Yeah. So you said you got into making music in 2016. What got you into making music, and, you know, how did your songwriting process start?
So I wanted to learn how to make music a lot longer than that, probably all the way back to like 2012, 2013, when I was just still like in middle school age. I've always been like kind of inclined to just be a creative person, but I had never done anything creatively. But I was like, this is like so cool. I want to try this. And I had FL Studio on the iPad. You can tell I was probably making some crazy bangers back then, but I kind of gave up on it for the time being because I was kind of frustrated with it. And I was dealing with a lot of stuff at that time, just in my personal life, that was kind of tough. But closer to the end of my high school, because I graduated from high school 2017, it was the summer before my senior year is when I started to actually kind of get serious. I pirated a version of FL Studio and then kind of was like, I got to do this. Like, I've been wanting to do it for a while, and I had just found all those new artists and that new scene, and I was like, this is like really cool. Like, it doesn't take much for them to do it. I could probably do it too. Sat down and watched all the like BusyWorks beats, all those like corny YouTube tutorials on YouTube of like how to make your 808 slap harder and all that stupid shit. But it really, I would say it took a good 2 years before I really started to be at a point where I was like, oh, I'm actually starting to get this. Because everything pre 2020, like, I've deleted a lot of my old stuff from SoundCloud, but if you go on my Bandcamp and even on my Spotify, there's some old stuff still on there from that 2017, 2018 era. It's funny now to look at it like, this is the same guy. Like, it doesn't even sound like, you know, it doesn't have any character. It's all just very like goofy, like MIDI music. But I think like towards 2020, I found more of like the wave stuff. Like, I found Desolate, I found Lucas Lays, which are two of my best friends, and like Haven kind of stuff. And I was like, this is kind of the shit I think I want to try to like really figure out and like craft in my own way and put my own spin on it. Yeah, I kind of started to figure it out, I would say 2020, because I had a lot of free time like everyone else, and I just did it all the time. I've pretty quickly found a formula of like how I wanted my drums to sound, how I wanted my basses to sound, and a lot of sampling at the time, which made it easy to kind of learn like, okay, this kind of guitar works with this kind of beat, or this kind of vocal sounds cool with this instrument. Just kind of experimenting a lot. But yeah.
And so have you upgraded from your ripped version of FL Studio?
For legal reasons, I'll say yes.
Yeah, there we go. We'll keep it classified.
Classified.
All right, there you go. With the songwriting process, obviously it's very crowded in this, you know, ambient sad trap wave genre, especially on SoundCloud. So how do you stand out? How do you craft your own sound?
2021 was like where I saw myself really kind of grow into, this is the kind of music I think I really do want to make. And I felt like I don't have to experiment and try as many new things now. I kind of have a workflow. I have a path from start to finish with each song. Because that was the time that I made my first full, like, good album, Convalescence. And that had a ton of ambience in it. Lots of cloudy, soft reverb, and a lot of piano and bells, those little sine bells that I use. Tons of just very dreamy aesthetic throughout the whole album. A lot of space, a lot of texture, and
minimalism.
Yeah, well, and exactly, and it creates one big sound. I think definitely I probably have been inspired by Haven the most in that, because that's kind of what he's always done too. You think a lot of my songs are kind of different, especially during that 2021 and 2022 era. I had a lot of different sounds, but it all kind of had this same tone underneath of like, yeah, that's a Blythe song. Because I've had some of my other fellow producers in the scene like tell me you've got a sound, and I think it's really cool because I can definitely recognize it with other people. Like I can tell just by, you know, the types of hi-hat pattern, oh, that's a Desolate beat, or like, you know, that's an Odd Name song because it's got that crazy organ bass. Like it's just kind of cool to kind of not really know exactly what point I started to have my own sound, but it did kind of come together around that time period.
Well, yeah, and you got your Blythe whispered tag that you use. How long have you been using that, and what inspired that?
That actually has a crazy story. To this day, I still don't know who actually recorded that. So there's a very, very long story that I'll try to keep brief. In 2021, when I first started the Distant Memory Collective, we had like a really super active Discord server. It's still there now. It's not as active anymore, but we had a private members channel, and we would all talk about like collabs and who we wanted to join the collective next, and just also a lot of shit talking and goofing around. You know, at the time there was someone who was supposedly a girl who's in the server, but we found out later that it was a guy the whole time pretending to be a girl. And all the details are kind of fuzzy even for me now because it's been so long, but we know who it is. Like it's this guy, and I won't say who, but one of our members at the time like did a complete dox on him and like IP traced him and stuff. It was crazy, but he had this fake story about like running away from home, and like it was insane. But at the time I thought the girl who that supposedly was had recorded the voice tag, but we still don't know who it actually was because we had like proof beyond like any doubt that it was him. and we know based on his social media he had a girlfriend, so maybe it was her, but we still don't know. So it's a cool tag, so I was like, I might as well keep using it. But
so he recorded it and gave it to you, or what?
I guess. I mean, he was insane. He had like this fully made up story about his life and all this stuff, and so we banned him and all that, but it was a pretty funny time.
And you got your keepsake, you got your Blythe tag.
Well, and it was free too. A lot of people pay good money for a good voice tag, but I was like, shit, I'll take it.
Wait, but so where did it come from? You're saying like he made it and then gave it to you as a gift, or what? How did it come up?
I guess so, because at the time it was supposedly a girl, and she was just like, or they were like, hey, anybody need a tag? I can make you one. And I was like, I'll take one. How much? Like, don't worry about it. And then they just sent me the WAV file, and I was like, cool. It must have not even been 2 or 3 months later that because they weren't in the group long. Like, it was maybe a couple months, and then there was an Instagram account. They ran an Instagram account supposedly being the girl, and then one of my friends in the collective commented on it, and then another girl, a completely random account, said, hey, just so you know, these photos are like all fake. They're coming from my friend's account. Whoever this is like catfishing you guys. And we were like, wait, hang on, what? So we looked it up, and sure enough, there was another account that had like hundreds of posts that was the actual girl. As soon as that comment was posted, they deleted the account like within the same day. And then like they deleted their Discord account. It was really weird.
That is really weird.
But then they lingered around for another year or so, coming up on all these different accounts, like trying to rejoin the server. And they were like messaging us like, guys, let me explain, like blah, blah, blah. And then it just got crazy.
Yeah, that sounds like pretty creepy and also kind of crazy. Dude, I was going to make a comment about, I listened to that new mix that you did. And that girl that introduced it, she totally butchered your name, bro. Did you hear that?
I did. I kind of just let it go.
She's like, Blythe. And she's all saying it all like soft and sexy, Blythe. And I was like, dude, it's Blythe. If you've listened to any of his songs, the voice tag tells you it's Blythe. Come on.
Yeah, I thought that was kind of funny too. But I mean, I was like, whatever, because Electric Realms, they're all really cool people over there. Yeah, whatever.
So what's your favorite collaboration that you've done so far?
I guess there's a song that isn't out yet. It's not on the album. It's a single that between me and Nctrn that's been in the works for literally, I think, 3 years now. And it's gone through a lot of different versions. And it's hopefully going to be released sometime this year. But it is a sample of a 2000s like cliche dubstep era. It's a totally different vibe for either one of us. But it's not done yet. But it's hopefully going to be out soon. And I've teased it on my Instagram. Like, people who know what I'm talking about have been asking me to post it for a long time. But I would say that one just because of the story behind it, the amount of time it's taken, and like so many times trying to start from scratch to make it over again. Because all the other collabs I have, like that I've released, they happen pretty quickly, like within a day or two. So I don't know. I like them all. It's not a great answer, but...
Well, no, we're hyping it up, dude, for when that Nctrn collab does come out one day.
If we're able to, I might tease it on this.
Ooh, yeah, we could do that.
Inserting exclusive audio recording from the vault.
What would be a dream collaboration for you?
Misogi.
Yeah.
Straight up Misogi. I mean, there's a lot of other guys in the scene that I look up to that would be cool too, like, you know, Brothel, Barnacle Boy, Vowel, all those kinds of big dogs in the wave scene. But, you know, Misogi, I think he's probably inspired me the most over just the time that I've been producing. I've been listening to his music roughly the amount of time that I've been producing. He's been there to kind of inspire me the whole time, which is really cool.
There we go. When we publish this episode, we got to tag him. We'll tag him on social media. We'll try to make it happen.
For sure.
And then talk to me about your aesthetics and like your cover arts and what inspires them and where do you get your artwork?
They're literally just like Tumblr images of like flowers and clouds and stuff. Like a little Photoshop, just put filters over them. I don't know. I feel like that's kind of always been how it is. I've never really had custom artwork. The closest thing I have to like something that's like legitimately made professionally was the cover art for Looking For You, which is the two hands on the blue background. Oddneem actually made that for me. Aside from that, like it really is a lot of shit I just found on Google and just like filter and put text over in Photoshop. That's like nothing crazy. The album artwork though, for the one I'm releasing now, it's actually a still frame from a video that I got from a royalty-free website called Pexels. But I mean, I've always been inspired by like the clouds and the ocean but also like faces, eyes, just stuff like that. Just very like, it's kind of like a visceral, like innate sense of beauty. Kind of anything like that, I think goes along well with the kind of music that I make. So
the brain scan artwork, I was almost wondering if it was your brain scan, because that reminds me of Breaking Benjamin. They had an album and it was the singer's brain scan as the album cover, which was sick.
No, that would be really cool, but I don't even know where I'd go to get a brain scan. So
all right, let's see here. So talk to me about doing live shows. How many have you done and kind of what are some of the best and worst live performances you've done?
So luckily I've only done 3 and they were all good. And like, honestly, the story behind all of them was really cool too. I didn't expect to be a part of any of them. I did no reaching out to anyone asking anything. I was approached for all 3 of them, which is really cool. And it made me feel really special too, just to know that somebody wanted me to be a part of anything. But the first one, funnily enough, was like the biggest one. Back in 2022, there was a huge wave festival. It was like a 2-night, well, really technically 3 nights. There was like a day 0 kind of pre-party, but I'll say there's a lot of beef around this event. Like there's a lot of drama because it was apparently logistically it was a nightmare and it was not managed well and nobody got paid and there's a bunch of like lying and backstabbing and stealing and I won't get into any of that, but
basically like Fire Fest.
And I mean that's probably pretty normal for EDM festivals. Like there's a lot of just sleaze bags in the fucking scene. But the guy who reached out to me on Discord is this guy Yama. And he's part of a Human Error label. He reached out to me. He's like, hey, man, like, love your music. Curious if you want to DJ for a show this December in Seattle. And I was like, yeah, that'd be dope, but I don't know how to DJ. And he's like, it's all good. You can learn like pretty quick. I was like, is 6 months like enough time to learn? He's like, dude, I've taught people how to do it in like a day. And I was like, oh, cool. I was like, well, yeah, I'd be interested for sure. And he kind of gave me some more details. And so I like invited as many people as I could to go. We split an Airbnb. Like it was like 8 of us. And I was super nervous, but I just did a 45-minute set of just mostly my music. There was 2 songs. One was from Oddneem and one was from Revoices. It was super fun. Like the whole trip was like really fun. It was stressful, but I got up there and I just kind of did it. There's videos on my Instagram of it, and it was a really, really fun night. I met a lot of people there that had listened to my music before and didn't even know I was going to be there. And they're like, dude, that's crazy. There was a guy who actually was from my hometown who was there too, which was really cool. And then the second one was on Valentine's Day. It's February 14th of last year. This guy SX, who's a huge like OG on the SoundCloud stuff, he messaged me. He's like, hey man, I need a DJ for a show. He was like, I'll fly you out and everything. And I was like, oh, that's dope. I'd never been to California, so he flew me out there and we hung out for a couple days. And he was working on an album at the time that's out now, and I was basically just DJing for him while he like rapped on the floor. It was this little venue downtown LA. It was a lot of fun. And then after that same year in Atlanta, I did a show. There was like a drum and bass DJ, there was a bass music kind of rhythm DJ, and then there's me. That was also kind of just unexpected. There's another artist in the scene, Callie XO. She reached out to me. She was like, hey, this guy who's hosting this event needs another DJ. He asked if I knew anyone. I thought you might be good. And I was like, oh, that's dope. Again, just kind of someone randomly saying like, hey, do you want to do this? And I was like, sure. So me and some of my friends went up there, and that one was fun too. It was a little chill, like outdoor kind of bar venue. So it was really fun. So none of them have been bad. Like nothing really went wrong. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's cool too to meet some of your fans in person. Like that must be really special.
Oh, it was crazy. Like there is a guy who like came up to me. He's like, dude, can I hug you, bro? And I was like, dude, yeah, of course you can hug me, bro. A lot of the time I spent doing all this stuff is all just online, like just comments or DMs, like seeing someone in person, like, yo, dude, Blythe, I love your music. Like that was cool. And I was like, that's like a crazy feeling. Since then, I haven't done anything. I've had to slow down on music this year just because there's been a lot going on in life, but I hope to do more shows if they present themselves. But like I said, I don't really go after it, so I probably could be doing more, you know.
Yeah, I guess we'll see. And man, it doesn't seem like you're slowing down with this monster of an album, this 20 tracks, which I definitely want to get into. But yeah, dude, I mean, I'd love to collaborate with you at some point in some way, maybe even if it's just, you know, using some of your already produced, already made songs, because I think they'd go really good with the types of films that I'm writing. And yeah, I would love to feature your stuff at some point.
Well, thanks. And I know I've got a lot of ambient stuff out now that would probably fit well for any kind of cinematic. And also, like, I feel like my style has changed a little bit lately to where the ambient stuff, I still like making it. But there's only one song on the new album that's like fully ambient. You know, Convalescence had quite a few, but I feel like I've kind of shifted to more higher energy and more textured stuff. But yeah, I don't know. It's just I never know what I'm going to do next. So it's kind of hard to plan anything really.
Yeah, for sure. Well, it's a good place to be as an artist, dude. You never know what you're gonna do next. Just inspiration strikes and you just go for it, you know?
Very true.
Dude, so the first time I heard your song Rush, that song, I've told you before, but I'm like, dude, that is like my all-time favorite song from you. You know, a little story, I was visiting my hometown and, you know, it's always weird going back there, like after I've, you know, graduated and I've been moved out of there for 10 years. And so it's such a time capsule to go back there. And obviously your music is very nostalgic in nature. And so like, you know, I was just in my room, I was going through old yearbooks, reliving the past, just kind of in the feels, and then Rush came on during that full set that you made, and that song I was like blown away. I was like, what the heck? And I kept like rewinding in the full set and being like, I gotta hear that song again, until I found it like outside of the set, and then I was able to just put that song on repeat. But yeah, dude, I just love that song, and I love the sample too from Juice WRLD, and like I just feel like that song was just so perfect, taking all these kind of familiar elements and making them new again.
Oh yeah, thank you. That song was like really tough to make. At the time, I worked at Amazon in the warehouse, so I was like busting ass, like slaving away in there, like sweatshop. I worked 12-hour like night shifts. So like during the holiday season, like late November to December, they make you work like 55, 60 hours a week. So like I was literally working like 5 11-hour shifts overnight. I think my off days were Sunday and Tuesday. So I would like get off at like 7 in the morning, go home and like sleep. And then I wake up at like 8 p.m. and then like be really disoriented. And then just like, I literally just hopped on the PC and just started trying to make music. Cause I'm so depressed. Like I've got to do something like, and so I kind of just made that little loop. One morning after getting off work, I like stayed up. I like didn't go to sleep, and I just started out like the doon 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 doon. Like I made that, and I was like, dude, that's sick. It was almost like a synthwavy kind of thing. And, you know, I got to throw the big re-space on it, and I put a little trap beat on it. I was like, this is crazy. Every like morning, like when I would get home from work, I would just work on it for like an hour, and then like for the whole month, like I just kept working on it. And I think the project has like 30 or 40 hours of time spent on it, which is longer than I spent on like any other song. But I just like kept getting more ideas and more ideas. And like the whole song was originally only going to be like 2 or 3 minutes. But then like I had like the ending part that I added where it slows down, and it just kept growing and growing. And I was like, this is like the craziest song like I've ever done. But it was just literally like, I was so miserable like working in that warehouse at the time. I was like, dude, I've got to like do something good when I'm not there.
Yeah.
I can't just like ride away and like do nothing. I was like, wow, I'm slaving away at work, but I'm also slaving away on this song, like to try to make it deep.
Yeah, dude, I think it's your best track. I think it's a perfect song. I love it, dude. I've listened to it so much, and I would love to use that song for my next film in some way. I was also wondering if you're able to remove the Juice WRLD vocals, you know?
I definitely can.
Yeah, because if you just take that out, I'm like, I feel like the song would still be perfect as is, and it could just work as like, yeah, movie score. Like I feel like that as the opening for a movie score, I'm just like, oh, it would be amazing.
Well, thank you. Yeah, I mean, that middle part, it has a lot of stuff going on as it is. So taking the vocals out, it would still probably, you're right, it would still probably be pretty full. I've got the stems for it, which is crazy because I usually lose the project file. Like a lot of the old ones, that stuff's like long gone, like corrupted or deleted or moved to a random folder that I can't find. Like a lot of that stuff doesn't get preserved. But I made sure to keep that one because I was like, this one's special. So
okay, good. Well, you kept it for me, bro. Is there any way you can you remove that and send it over to me, dude? Because I would love to hear it without the sample.
That would take me like 10 minutes. Yeah.
All right, sweet, dude. I'm going to hound you down for that one because I really want to hear that. And I feel like that'll just help me in my creative process too. I'll just be like, I'll be able to listen to it without the sample and just be like, okay, yeah, this is
just give you all the stems. You can just listen to any part of it that you want.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, so let's talk about Identity Crisis, your new album. So stoked on this. Yeah, where did the album title come from?
And I mean, it has a lot of different meanings to me personally, but the idea of it was supposed to be like, you're at a point now in your life where like either creatively or like just in your life in general, like you've kind of gone through a lot of stuff and you're like, this is like the final version of me. I don't have any more like weird phases of my personality to go through. Like I've kind of wrestled with all of the like darker parts of who I am and like all the things I've struggled with, and I've kind of gotten to a point where I've either come to terms with it or I've kind of gotten past stuff like that. And it's like a feeling of like, now I'm ready to like face everything now. That's kind of the idea behind it, like going through that struggle of like who you are, who you're supposed to be, and finally coming out the other side like confident. But also like another thing that inspired it a lot was like that time period that I talked about, like 2021 and 2022, all of the guys in Distant Memory, like that period where we were all just building each other up and collaborating, and a lot of growth for all of us. It's just like a very special time that like, even though it's like over for the most part, like the album has that spirit of that time period like kind of in it too. So it's just kind of like a highlight reel, I guess, of the best time of my creative journey, I guess. So yeah, kind of two big aspects to it. I don't know where the name came from. I think I just was like, wow, that's a cool idea of like struggling with who you are, and like, but yeah, it's like a positive story, not like a depressing one.
Yeah, well, this is the first step in the new identity, I guess.
Yeah, for sure. It's funny. The album's been like done, quote unquote, for quite a few months, but I've just been tweaking it and making small changes. And I did add one song at the very last minute, and then just kind of waiting for myself to just be like, I guess it's done now. And I did set the release date a while ago, just so I knew I had a deadline, because if I don't, I'll never finish it. And then honestly, like July, August of this year, like a couple months back, I was like, oh shit, like I'm kind of like putting this off. I need to actually finish this. So added one more song and kind of smoothed out all the edges, and I listened to it a ton, and I was like, yeah, this is like as perfect as it's going to get anyway. So
yeah, I think it's great. So let's get into some of the highlights of it. The opening track, Who Am I? Super cool that you opened with this one and then closed with Identity Crisis. I feel like it just brings the whole album full circle. And I like that you reused an old vocal sample in this song. What was that from again? The Oh Keep Trying.
So yeah, that's from Looking For You, which is the second to last song on the project, but it's the first song that I made that I knew was like the beginning of the album. So like I made it in January last year. So it's been almost 2 years since I made that song. That vocal loop is just so catchy to me, and like my roommate, he's like obsessed with it. Like every time I'll be playing it, he'll come out of his room and be like, yo, this shit's fire, bro, like every time. And so I was like, I gotta like maybe reuse that as a little Easter egg kind of thing. I was just super happy with it.
And then let's talk about this song, All For You. This one's very romantic, beautiful vocal sample. What are the lyrics in this one?
So Odd Neem sent me that. I think it's from Splice. It's just some like royalty free Splice thing that he sent me, and it's just something about like, you know, all my scars are finally healing, which is, I thought was perfect for that like idea of the album. It kind of fit right in, and it perfect for like the idea behind it of like kind of getting past the tough part and like being excited about like, you know, the positive things in your life. But like I got a heart, it keeps on beating, all for you. Like, I don't know, that kind of, to me, it's like, it could be about a person, but it also, I think it's just like that feeling of just being alive and excited. Like, it's just kind of like the whole essence of it.
Yeah. Another single, White Sky, featuring Cali XO. This is one of the singles, and talk about this collaboration.
So yeah, that one is actually really cool. There's a couple songs on the album that started as 2 or 3 different loops in different project files, and I would be working on them kind of going back and forth. I'm like, wait a second, like I feel like these are the same song, I'm just in different projects. And I was literally making the same thing, like same key, same tempo, just like different beats. And I was like, shit, well, what if I just combine them all into one song? And that's kind of how that song started. She had just sent some like vocals a long time before that, and I never did anything with them, so I just threw them in there and adjusted the tempo, and then put that little plucky melody at the beginning was like new. But that like really harsh, like buzzy synthesizer that's in there, that had been like a song on my hard drive for like months. So I just kind of put all three of those together, and I was like, that's crazy. Like, it all just kind of fit.
Love it. And then False Memory. This one's got an excellent title. I love that this one's a really haunting track that really just sweeps you away into another world. And then obviously halfway through the song, it slows down and kind of becomes a different track entirely.
Yeah, that one was a lot of fun. I think that was one of those songs where it was just a cool loop and I got a beat going on it, and it was just really big and ambient, and it didn't really have much thought to it. It was just like what sounds good and what fits. And then after I did the first main part, I was like, it could end here, but I think it needs to switch up, which is kind of how Rush was made too, because they both have a slowdown and it goes into that crazy hard 808 kind of style.
Melancholy.
Yeah, more melancholy, yeah.
And then On the Line / Without You featuring Nctrn. Dude, this one I think was really an album highlight because it really just sounds like I'm going through space at like warp speed. It just feels like such a fast, crazy like tunnel of a track, dude. I don't know. That's the feeling I get from it.
Well, thank you. I'm glad that you like it. I think it's definitely the most unique song on the album for sure. The two different drops are like totally different. Like, so that one, Nctrn sent me the first part. It was just like the first drop with the little, and I was like, dude, this is crazy. I was like, what the? I was like, first of all, who are you? Like, I had seen his name around, but I had never talked to him. I'm like, what is this banger? And I was like, dude, do you want to collab for this, for my album? And he was like, dude, absolutely. He's like, I'm not really going anywhere with it. So he sent me the stems, and then honestly, at first, I was like, I don't really know how I'm going to work this into my style. Like, it was kind of really different. And so I tried a couple of different transitions from his part to my part. And I was like, there's no way to do it subtly. So it kind of just has to go straight into it. Like, after the first drop, it just kind of stops and it goes straight into the loop that I did, which was a different vocal from, I think his is an actual sample, the vocals from a song. I don't know for sure, but it sounds like he kind of ripped an acapella. You can tell it has that not totally perfect studio quality, which I like. It's like a sample almost, but. And then I took some stuff from Arcade, which is the VST I use for like all of my vocals. It was kind of just two different styles that I feel like in the end it worked out.
And then let's talk about Dream Chasing. This is another single, very catchy, repeatable track. I love the artwork of this one too. Just that platinum blonde floating in a pool of waves.
Yeah, so that one was a lot of fun. I was trying to make like a hard wave type of song with that melody of like a very fast, very slide up and down kind of melody. But I was like, I don't know how to make hard wave, so I'll just turn it into another Blythe song. And the pianos and the plucky sounds, and it kind of flowed, and that was a really easy song for me to kind of get in the zone with. The middle part where it has like almost a Jersey footwork type of beat, that part came in like way later. It almost wasn't even in the song. That little middle part where it switches up and has a nice break, that part really kind of tied it together for me.
And then Tell Me Why. This one's got more of a drum and bass, faster pace with a soft vocal sample. I really like this one. I wanted to ask about the lyrics here and kind of the inspiration with this one as well.
Yeah, that one, again, the vocals come from Arcade VST, if no one's familiar. Like, it's a kind of like a sound library that you can get, and it works within FL Studio, and it matches all of the samples to whatever key and whatever BPM you're actually in. So it's really easy to kind of, depending on what kind of song you're using, it's easy to transpose it, and it has like different effects and like stuff you can do in the VST. So there's a lot of vocals, and I was just clicking through the different presets, and I found that one, and it had a really good rhythm. And you can actually, it's like MIDI, you like draw the notes in. So it's like you can kind of switch the vocals around any way you want. I think it's like 130 or 140 BPM, but it started at like around 100 BPM. It was really slow. And I've still got the original version on my computer that I might post someday, but I tried speeding it up and I was like, oh, this is way better. Like, I put the little breakbeat in there and I was like, that's perfect.
And then Emerge, this one features some of the same vocal samples from Tell Me Why, which was really subtle and really sick.
Well, yeah, and I did that kind of on a whim, and this has a much slower tempo, and it kind of drags the vocal out more. So it's a lot slower, and it's a different perspective almost of the same sample. That was one of the last songs I did for the album. It almost felt tacked on, but the more I kind of tweaked it, it felt like a really good song. So
yeah, and it's really heavily layered, and it still works so well, which is really cool.
Yeah, thank you.
And then Looking For You, this one we talked about, but this is the first single from the album. This one seemed to get a lot of really good reception, man. I saw a lot of plays on this one.
The nice thing about that was that I made that song like after a pretty long period of like kind of feeling uninspired. Yeah, January of 2023. And then prior to that, the last song was all the way back in October of 2022. So it had been almost 4 months. You know, I had been to the Seattle show and I had done a little remix contest online. So there was a lot of like a little break I took from actually, and I did a mix for Vibe Digital. Like there was a couple of things I did just as almost side projects, I guess, but it felt really good to come back with a new year and a new song that like felt like a new chapter for me. And that one just, again, it has kind of 3 parts to it, like Rush. It has the intro, it has the middle part with the really ambient piano and the drum and bass, and then the crazy like double bass line at the end that just has a huge soundscape. I was really proud of that one and still am.
Yeah, and then Identity Crisis, the title track, in a way you saved the best for last. I really feel like this song just encapsulates the whole album and it just has such an epic scope to it. I really love it.
I think when I started making it, I was like really upset, to be honest. Like there was some stuff going on in my personal life and I was frustrated and exhausted and almost a little bit angry. And I was like feeling like shit right now. I should try to like make something positive out of it. And I made that little arpeggio that opens up the song. That was added on much later into the song. Like it started out with just the piano melody that's in the middle part. And the vocals, the humming vocals and the hi-hats. Like that was all like what started the loop. And then I added the arpeggio later and I was like, this is like such a crazy extra layer to it. Just, it felt like a very intense, visceral song. And, you know, the beat is like super intense. And at the ending part of the song where it goes very ambient and very melodic and it kind of trails off slowly into all the elements kind of slowly fade away into just a very soft, the same way I felt about the album Convalescence. It kind of fades away at the end. I tried to kind of encapsulate that feeling of just the end of a long, big project. Yeah, that was a really fun one to make. Even though it started off out of frustration, it kind of turned into something really beautiful. So
yeah, dude, I got goosebumps when I heard that song for the first time. It was pretty exciting. Do you get goosebumps when you play your own music or how does that work?
If I'm under the influence, yes.
You're like, whoa.
Yeah, I'm like, wait, I made that, bro? Like, yeah, it's a really cool experience to do that, by the way. If you're an artist, it's kind of like a new perspective on it. It's like, holy shit, like this really, it kind of gives you, in my opinion, it feels like it gives me the perspective of a listener instead of just the one who made it. Because I'm like, whoa, this is like the feeling that I was trying to tell, but now I'm feeling the feeling. It's very stoner thoughts.
Yeah, becoming the audience.
Yeah, for sure. So
coming to the end of the interview, dude, if you could have one thing people could take away from listening to your music, what would it be?
Shit. It's a tough one. This feels like a job interview question. I think it depends on who it is. Like if it's someone who's listening to my music who is trying to start making music themselves, I would say like make the music that you want to like listen to. Don't try to mimic other people. Because like that's what I did for a long time in the beginning, was try to mimic like a lot of stuff on SoundCloud, and I was like, this is kind of frustrating. I don't really get it, like what they make. I don't really understand where it comes from. I'm just trying to copy the sound, and I see a lot of that these days. Like a lot of people are just copying like trends on like TikTok and stuff. I would just say like make what you want to make, and then that's what my music is supposed to be. It's like it's just me. But if it's just a listener, like I think the music is supposed to just be a way for you to relax and like close your eyes and like kind of go somewhere else. It's really just supposed to be a big dream. So
yeah,
but like you take what you want from it because it's art. So
yeah, exactly. That reminds me too of what I always say to, you know, aspiring filmmakers. I say, write the movie you want to see within the parameters of the story you need to tell.
That's really good. Yeah. Because I think that there's something very cathartic about music and all art, but I think music specifically, like you can kind of convey a certain feeling, a certain energy, like just based on the energy of the song. And like, it doesn't even have to be intentional. I'll do that a lot of times, like unintentionally. So if you can get that out into a piece of art, like someone else is going to hear what you were trying to put out. Because I've had a lot of people tell me, like even you today, like definitely understand like each song, like the energy that went into it. You can tell just from hearing it, which is cool.
Yeah. And yeah, dude, your music's been, you know, a real blessing to me. Many productive late night writing sessions and daydreaming escapades. So dude, super thankful that we got to connect today, and thanks for making such beautiful music, dude.
Yeah, dude. Thank you so much for having me on and all the kind words. It's been cool to kind of tell a little bit of a story, because I don't really talk about all this stuff all in one place very often. So it's cool to kind of live back through the memories a little bit and go over where I've been and how I got here. It's been fun, man.
Thank you so much for tuning in. I want to welcome any new listeners to the podcast and let you know that there's lots more music interviews coming soon, as well as my regularly scheduled comedy episodes. If you enjoyed this ep, leave a rating/review. 5 stars is a power play. Be sure to follow the show and follow me on social medias at Spencer Whiteout to stay up to date. Also, if you're curious about my feature film Space Waves, you can find it on iTunes, Amazon, Google Play, and YouTube. It's a coming-of-angst comedy drama featuring the music of Haven, Sorcery, Yedgar, Time Cop 1983, London Lasers, Brooklyn, and much more. As always, stay tuned, stay hyped. That's a wrap.
And that's it.